Okay, so let's talk about fixing things on the CNC machine when you've made a mistake. Now, if you were paying attention during the cutting of the jig here, you'll notice that while it was cutting the perimeter, I decided to take one of my hold down T-bolts and do a fit test on it for the slots that are cut out. And if you paid attention, you notice that it didn't go in. I mean, it almost goes in. It's very tight. And it turns out that what I did was when I made these slots, I forgot to double check the width they need to be. I originally programmed it at 8 millimeters, and on my other jigs I programmed it at 9 millimeters just to give me enough slop to get the bolt through clearly. So I had meant to go back before I removed the jig and its stock from the clamping fixture. I had intended to go back and modify the program and rerun it on just the slots. And in the excitement of being on camera, I forgot about that. I pulled it out of the clamps, and at that point I lost all the references. There's just no easy way to get back to where you were in the workspace on the table unless you put an indexing hole in there or something, which I hadn't. So all is not lost, fortunately, because there's a way to do that still. Now what I have is a zero fixture, a zeroing plate that is from CNCrouterparts.com, and this one not only doubles as a Z-axis zeroing plate, but it also has the ability to zero the X and Y axis based on the corner of a piece of stock or something. And that's how I located it originally. If you noticed in the beginning, I put it on the corner over here, and I used it to locate Z0 as well as X and Y0 on the corner of the stock. And in my CAD program, I had set the corner of the stock as the work origin. Now, what I can do, and what I have done, is go back and modify the program. I removed the stock excess from the program, so I told it that the stock was exactly the size of the jig model, and I've reset the origin to the corner of the actual jig model. And now I'm going to use this to re-find X and Y 0 right on the corner of the model, and that will allow me now to recut these holes precisely where they are, but just 1 millimeter wider. And you'll notice that I've got this lined up with my parf dogs, which you see these holes all over my table. These are holes for the parf dogs that were cut by the CNC machine after I squared it, and that makes sure that these holes are always perfectly squared, everything. I've got 2 of these parf dogs in here, and that's what is making sure this jig is lined up square relative to where it was cut. So I'm going to go ahead and run the program now. You're going to see me locate 0 and get it going, and hopefully the slots will be cut very nice. Now, if it's a little bit off in this case, it's not going to be a nightmare. It's still, the slots will still be there. They don't have to be accurately positioned relative to the rest of the jig. So let's give it a go. So the first thing I'm going to do here is go into the sketch for to define the shape of the slots, and I'm going to re-edit the dimension that defines how wide they are. You can see there's a sketch dimension here, and it's set at 8 millimeters, and it should be 9, so I'm just going to change that to 9, and notice how the slot automatically gets wider. And then notice how the one on the other side gets wider as well, because it is a mirror across the center line of the jig, which means I don't have to do anything else. So here is the slots redimensioned, and now I just need to go into the cam side, and for the operation that the cam setup that cut the jig, I'm going to copy it. I'm going to create a completely new setup, and then I'm going to edit that to call it the heel jig fix. And then I'm going to go in and delete the operations that have already been cut that don't need to be redone. So that's the pocketing, and those need to be redone, and then the perimeter contour doesn't need to be done. The gasket slot does not need to be done. I need the chamfer, but I don't need the engraving, so I'll get rid of that. So recontour the slots only, and then do the chamfer on the slots. I'll go and edit the chamfer and get rid of all the geometries that don't need to be rechamfered, and just select the 2 that do need to be done. So that's it, we're good to go. And then I just need to make sure that the corner is set as the origin of the workpiece. So I'm going to edit the entire setup there for that. And when I edit that, you'll see that under the stock it has 20 millimeter offset for the edges. I'm going to set that to 0 so that the stock is the same size as the workpiece that has just been made. And you'll see the origin is already set to that right corner, the correct corner.
that I'm going to use to index the machine off of. And so then we're good to go. All I need to do is regenerate the toolpath and post-process it to generate the program and put it on the machine.